hard graft. I support him in bringing this legislation to the House.
I call Andrew Williams.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I'd like to take a call on behalf of New Zealand First with the Kaikoura Titai o Marokura Marine Management Bill. And New Zealand First will also be supporting this, of course, and as all parties in this House are doing. Mr Speaker, it certainly is a special part of New Zealand. I was fortunate to visit there at the end of last year to have a look at the situation there and the concerns of the Kaikoura community, in particular in relation to the seismic surveying taking place off the coast there in relation to oil and gas exploration. And it was of great concern to people that I spoke to in Kaikoura, the fact that they had such a wonderful whale viewing area, plus all the other marine life in the area, and they were concerned at the possible impact of some of those activities on the marine life in the area. And of course, by implication, the possible impact if the whales were to move on or be scared away as a result, what it would do to the community in terms of tourism, people visiting, the local economic development in the area, and so on and so on. The ramifications were quite significant. So to hear that this has been going on for 7 years in terms of the consultation, it's a long time, but it is very good that local iwi, in terms of Ngāti Kuri of Ngāi Tahu, the Te Runanga o Kaikoura, recreational fishers, the Kaikoura Boating Club, local commercial fishers, including rock lobster, paua and inshore finfish fishers, charter fishing operators, tourism operators, and the Kaikoura branch of the Royal Forest and Bird Protection Society all work together to develop the Te Korowai paper and form the Te Korowai group, and came up with this over a period of years as a recommendation to the government in 2012. And that's a great initiative on the behalf of that Kaikoura community to come through with this, which ends up in this piece of legislation. Also, in relation to the area, the New Zealand fur seal colony, and again, it is quite extraordinary how when you drive down that coastline and see the seals basking in the sun on all the rocks and living so close to the road and being so accessible for humans to be able to watch them, it is quite extraordinary. And also the pool that Nicky Wagner talked about for the pups and the creche, as they call it, is quite extraordinary. So, Mr Speaker, this is a good piece of legislation that assists that whole area. The Marine Reserve is going to be very significant. The Hikurangi Marine Reserve, 10,416 hectares for the Hikurangi Marine Reserve, focused on the very deep waters of the canyon and connects with the land for about 2 kilometres just north of Goose Bay and extends out to 23.4 kilometres off the coast. So it's a very, very sizable area where there will be no mining, fishing or harvesting of any kind would be allowed in this area. This new reserve is larger and deeper than any other existing marine reserve on New Zealand's 3 main islands. Then, of course, the Kaikoura Whale Sanctuary, 4,686 square kilometres. The sanctuary will be extending 45 kilometres north and south of the Kaikoura Peninsula and 56 kilometres out to sea. So again, this will protect the sperm, humpback, southern right, blue, killer and other whales that frequent the area and prohibits high-level seismic survey work in the area. So that does afford a level of protection. And then the Ohau Point New Zealand Fur Seal Sanctuary, 700 metres along the coastal highway, State Highway 1, and about 50 metres to the low water spring mark. Again, there's something like 3,000 seals in this area, and this ensures that there won't be human interference in terms of ensuring people and public access. They don't go actually into those seal colonies. And it was shocking, Mr Speaker, a number of years ago when we had that tragic incident where a seal was battened to death in that just one. It was just the one. Several, wasn't it? Yes. And it was tragic that that happened, and I think that really did highlight how elements within the community choose to operate in that way, in a shocking manner. When those seals themselves, we're so fortunate they are so close to human civilization, and we have to do all we can to protect them. Then, of course, this bill also includes a provision for some customary fishing beds and restrictions on some commercial fishing in certain areas there. Also new recreational fishing regulations, so recreational catch and size limits are to be tightened within the Te Korowai area due to the concern about unsustainable pressure on fishing stocks. And again, that helps that whole marine environment in the area. So, Mr. Speaker, New Zealand First supports this. There are many areas around New Zealand that need this type of assistance. Our local government and environment committee has been looking at a lot of these things, including, as was mentioned before this week, the situation with Maui and Hector's dolphins off the west coast of the North Island in particular, where the Maui dolphins, only 55 left in the world, are located, and again, that's something that has to be looked at very, very urgently in terms of how we will ensure those 55 dolphins are protected and can help regenerate that very, very small group of dolphins, and hopefully in years to come get them back up to a reasonable number. It'll take 20 to 30 years just to get them back perhaps into the hundreds, but they were there in the 1970s in their hundreds, the Maui's dolphins, and it is a great shame that they're down to 55. And likewise, the Hector's dolphins are under pressure as well, and these dolphins are only found in New Zealand, and therefore New Zealanders, we as a nation, have a responsibility to protect them. So, Mr. Speaker, New Zealand First will support this, and we look forward to this coming to our Select Committee and assisting this bill through its passage through this House.
I call Paul Goldsmith.
Speaker, like other members, have had the pleasure of driving